This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feast and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast, where each and every week we do a deep dive into the good, the bad, and the awesome of all things wrestling video games. My name is George Feast.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash, and today we are playing WWE Mobile Madness, an old Java game for your old cell phones, them old mobile phones from 2002. We have no idea how this game is going to hold up.
Oh, God. And help us out here, guys. Leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcast and Spotify, because we play these old mobile games from 2002 for content for you guys.
It's not for our entertainment.
No. But if you wanted to find out what we are playing next week, along with a whole lot of other information about the show, you can follow us on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. And if you happen to want early and ad-free access to this show, access to show notes, and a whole lot of bonus content from this show, as well as State of Affairs and Going Postal, well, you could do that over at our Patreon, patreon.com/podexchange. That is PODXCHANGE. Oh, John.
Oh,
John. Coming off the heels of a really cool RPG like Kaiju Big Battle, and then jumping right into a mobile Java game from 2002 for the Nokia. Oh, man.
Well, before we jump into that, let's talk about Kaiju Big Battle. First of all, as you can see, if you're on YouTube right now, I am not in the dungeon anymore. I am back in my office, back on
Glad you made it out.
Back on the good microphone. We are feeling good right now. Kaiju Big Battle. The more I want to love it, I still can't, because I'm not that RPG guy. I appreciate it. I went back. I watched our playthrough and everything. You know, it has everything there. It's checking the boxes, just not for me. So, sorry if you're an RPG guy like you. The game is still just not for me.
Man, there's no hard feelings about that, man. Look, it's better that you admit to the fact that you're not a huge RPG guy and go in leading with that with your review, than just to give it no qualifier and just say that this game is bad and I didn't like it because of this. Like, you led with the fact that you're not a huge RPG guy, but you appreciated the cool parts of it. The music, the graphic style, the effects that were done. And yeah, gameplay, everyone's got different gameplay. There are some people, listen, think of how far you've come with Fire Pro. That gameplay style is not for everybody. There are some people who still are not big fans of Fire Pro, but I'm sure on a certain level they can appreciate the game for what it is. But I got a question for you.
Yes.
It's been a while since we've done one of these, and I would like to know what you've been playing.
Ooh. Well, of course I'm still in the Fortnite grind, like at least 4 or 5 days a week. But College Football 25 finally came out. I snagged that on day one. I've been watching a lot of streamers play that pretty much all day. Bearded Blevins has pretty much switched to mostly playing that. And listen to this, a Fortnite streamer, viewers went up playing a college football game. That's crazy.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. I feel like football, like sports games, like have a...
I don't know.
It's more. There's more traction in the sense of the game series has been around for long. Like, there's been more Fortnite or more football games than there have been years of Fortnite.
I guess so, but I don't know. But the game is incredible, absolutely incredible. It's way better than Madden, and I hear that they took a lot of the mechanics from the game and are putting them in the new Madden coming out. So upgrades all around. They made upgrades to the football game, meaning soccer, the football club game. Yep. And we know NHL was on a little bit of a downgrade, so maybe EA is actually on the up and up. So I don't know. Let's get some changes going. But that's pretty much what I've been playing. What about you?
So very much back into Overwatch 2. They removed a feature that I thoroughly hated They put all the new champions behind a paywall, and that's just, it's bad. You're paywalling the content. I understand why they did it, but it really just killed the player base, and they've made a lot of changes and some updates to that. So I've been playing that. And speaking of big upgrades, Diablo 4 got a big upgrade, which we've talked about at length, the love-hate relationship that I've had with Diablo over the years, but very much into Diablo 4 at the moment. The last big patch that they did, season ends as of recording in like a week or two or a couple weeks, but yeah, been the same old Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Diablo 4, a Fortnite here and there, and then whatever wrestling games we play.
So I've been having a lot of fun with Fortnite creative maps, and you could check twitch.tv/JohnnyClashTTV. I've been playing a lot of the speed runs, the escape rooms, the horror stuff. It's a lot of fun. There's a million maps, stuff everywhere.
Have you done not the always up clones, but have you done death runs?
I did one yesterday before you came in, actually.
Okay, I would say I seem to just enjoy the death runs because they are very, like, if you just want something that you're just gonna load in and kind of run through, and you don't want to have to, like, some of them can get really challenging, but some of them are, like, the first pass through is like easy mode. If I just want to unwind and play something mindless before I go to bed, I'm like, I'm just gonna do one of these for,
they're
15, 20 minutes.
That, and I kill some bots. There is one, Tim the Tatman's fall damage only up map is impossible.
Oh, God.
I did that last week, and it was like 20 minutes of torture, and I gave up and did another escape room. But they're a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
All right. But George, this next thing on the list, do you want to talk about it? You want to skip it? You want to wait till next week? What do you want to do here?
No, we're going to talk about it right now because
talk about it.
I announced it on Going Postal and said that, well, now that you're listening to this, the announcement has already happened. So it is Monday the 29th, which means that on the 26th, if you were looking at social media, you know that we got a brand new shop. A Pod Exchange store is now live. You can go and check it out at podexchange.shop. That is PODXCHANGE.shop. It is lifestyle wear. It's more than just shirts. There's hoodies, hats, shorts. You can get Johnny Clash branded shorts. You can get Joe Shoes magnets, Swoggle magnets. If you're a fan of this podcast, you can get magnets of that. There's a dad hat that has the meme faces of me and John
yes, I love
on the hat. It's merch that the diehard fans of this podcast and the other Pod Exchange podcasts or Pod Exchange shows. Yeah, I was right. Have been asking for merch-wise, hats, hoodies, jackets, zip-up hoodies will be coming soon. Death metal,
brutal pullover. I'm snagging that right away.
We've got like starter style jackets, like old retro starter style jackets, branded polos. You want to wear a GMP
golf with the game marks?
There you go. And there's more stuff coming down the pike, as our friend Swoggle likes to say. All over print shirts, flip-flops for Joe Shoes. We're going to do it all.
All the Swoggleisms. You know who he reminds me of? The bartender from the Boondock Saints. And he's like, why don't you make like a tree and get the fuck out? And he just butchers everything.
He really nails the butchering of a lot of the saying. Yeah, that's really his call sign there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are all very excited. This is a passion project of all of ours. All of us had input into this, all three shows, and we are excited to share this with you. So podexchange.shop for all of the Pod Exchange merch now.
All right.
But with that, John, are you ready to hop in, put on your nostalgia goggles, and do the deep dive to the faraway land of 2002?
Dude, that was a long time ago.
That's a really long time ago.
Yeah.
Are you ready to play Mobile Madness?
I'm on the diving board. I don't know if I'm ready to go in, but here we go.
Yeah, we're going in.
Looking to add the newest wrestling figures to your lineup? There's no better spot to pick up your next figure than the Wrestling Collector Shop.
Started by collectors for collectors around the globe, Wrestling Collector Shop has been serving the fans the latest and greatest in wrestling action figures since 2002. So the next time you're looking for the newest wrestling collectible to add to your collection, make sure to go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com and use code GameMarks to save yourself 10% on your order.
That's 10% off your order with code GameMarks at WrestlingCollectorShop.com.
All right, as always, the deep dive is brought to you by our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop. You just heard the ad. Go and use code GameMarks to save yourself 10% over at Wrestling Collector Shop. And courtesy of our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop, we like to give away a figure each and every episode. Last episode, we gave away an Elite 109 Seth Rollins Mr. Clash. What are we giving away this week?
We're shaking it up this week. You see right behind me, George, we got a twofer. All you have to do is head on over to Apple, Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review. Make it fun, make it witty. Or you know what? Just say, I love this podcast. And we will find it, we will read it on air.
If it's a song, John will sing it.
I will absolutely sing it. But you will be able to win this Elite, what is this? 110 Rhea Ripley and this Top Picks Dominic Mysterio 2-pack. Look at those. That's
Dirty
nice.
Dom and Mommy.
Those are both nice. And this is like the newer style basic Dom figure. So it's actually really good. And it'll match the Rhea.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but that Dom figure needs a mustache.
No, it doesn't. That's all you have to do. Leave us a review and you could win both of those figures. George, take it away.
All right, WWE Mobile Madness released January 3rd, 2002. It is a Java game, so any phone that was Java-enabled could play this game. It is developed by Nuvo Studios, except the Cage version was developed by Cyberco, published by THQ Wireless, and other wrestling games in 2002 are Fire Pro Wrestling 2, Legends of Wrestling 2, New Japan Pro Wrestling Tokon Retsuden Advance, WWF Raw, WWE WrestleMania 18, WWE Road to WrestleMania 18, and WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. This is the longest that the game year list has been in quite a while. 2002, a hotbed for wrestling games.
Well, you know what's crazy? Other than like 2020 and like the past maybe 1 or 2 years, the newer, like the more recent years have the less games because WWE is not putting out these different titles anymore. There's really not New Japan or Legends of Wrestling or Fire, like all those companies are not putting stuff out. So
well, because you get the breakdown here of you're getting main console releases and handheld releases from Nintendo, but
yeah.
So
you don't even get that anymore.
Well, because now you just release it on the Switch and it's both.
That's true. But let's talk about the Cyberco for a minute. Did you had a Cyberco handheld?
I did have a Cyberco.
So this is just the Cage version of this game, which we're going to get into different versions in a little bit, is developed by Cyberco. Now, I'm going to Google this because I want the nostalgia rush of what it looks like coming back into my brain. It's pretty much a handheld mobile device. Somehow it connected to the internet. I never figured out how because I was on dial-up at the time. Pretty much it had games. You could type stuff. It had a full keyboard. But mostly, I used it for games. What else would you use it for?
I think you could message people.
Within range, right? Like it had an antenna?
Yeah. Oh, so it also was an MP3 player, apparently.
Not the one I had.
Huh.
But I do remember it had a version of Doom on it. Do you remember that?
I do. I remember that, and there was something that was like Tamagotchi on it.
Yeah,
came like stock with it.
Like I don't remember motorcycle game.
Yeah, it came preloaded with some stuff
where the ball bounces and knocks those things down.
Oh, like Brick Break.
Yeah. Was it called? Maybe it wasn't called Doom, but it was like a Doom clone. I think it was Lust and Labyrinth. That's what it was. But it was pretty much Doom.
Yeah. Okay.
But man, what a cool, like I remember the commercials. You just needed one. Me and my cousin had them. It was a lot of fun. But let's talk about what this game actually is. Mobile Madness.
Did you know that there was a Cyberco Extreme?
I did. I
did not know. I only had the classic. I did not know that there was a secondary version of it.
But think about the era that this came out. Pretty soon after, you're getting like the Sidekick and all that stuff. So it was like,
this was
flash in the pan here.
This is the most 2000s looking piece of technology I have seen in quite a while.
But it was great. I loved it. I love playing it. I remember bringing it to like my grandma's house or like my sister's soccer games and just playing these random crappy games. And you could plug it into your computer and download more. But it's
like a child Palm Pilot,
1997 whatever Windows computer, so I wasn't downloading anything. But let's talk about this game here. This is one of the first mobile games from THQ Wireless. It was released for Java-enabled phones, so if you have one of those old Nokias that played Snake or whatever, you could probably get this from your little app store that probably took 10 minutes to load. There were other versions titled Mobile Madness Hardcore, which came out on July 3rd, 2003, and Mobile Madness Cage, which came out on August 18th, 2003. Now, it's supposed to feature more than 21 wrestlers and a creator superstar option. But that, I don't think, made it into the game because you are only able to play as Kane and The Undertaker in the base version of this. You can throw punches, kicks, there's reversals, pins. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's a button masher. Think about how small that keyboard used to be on the little Nokia or the phone.
I
had a little helicopter game where you had to like shoot things. That's all I had.
When I think of the cell phone games, like I almost never, like in this age, I was like, I'm just going to play Snake.
Snake was great.
Snake, and then you would get like a different phone and it would have like the same 3 games, but the graphics would be updated. And you're like, oh wait, the Snake has like a real head now. Or like the Snake actually looks like a snake. It's not just like
that's when it was
black
less
boxes that move around the screen and you pick up other black boxes.
Hey, as long as a phone had, what's it called on it? I was good. Tetris,
yep.
All I needed was Tetris.
You didn't even say it, but I knew that that's where you were going.
Yep. Now, your game modes that are in here are main event and tournament mode, and it has a leaderboard as well with who you've beat the game as. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. The gameplay itself, like I said,
super simple.
Kicks, punches, there's like this dash charging, like knee strike. If you're playing the hardcore version, there is a steel chair you could pick up on the outside. You could hit someone with that. There's also, I guess, like an entrance stage section and an announcer table section, which it can break. So that's kind of cool that was in there. For 2002 mobile 1-inch screen, I guess this was fine. And I guess probably easier to play than the way I played it today.
I think the thing that I noticed the most is that for a game from 2002 that is a cell phone game, they did this, like, the presentation isn't as bad as you would think. Like, you tell me you're going to play a Java-based Nokia game from 2002, I'm going to immediately just picture, like, something that's worse than, I don't know, like worse than an Amiga or a Commodore game. Like, super basic, super. And from a control standpoint, it is that. It's very basic. It's very simple. There's not anything crazy or outlandish about it. But the presentation of the game itself is not that bad, considering you're playing on like a 2-3 inch screen,
if even. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was okay. But to be like, I want to play a wrestling game and then have that.
Oh no. Yeah, no. I don't think that's anyone's like go-to wrestling game, but for what it was, I didn't think that it was. We definitely played worse looking games.
Well, I just want to say 2002 WWE games, not the best. We know Raw was the first game on the Xbox for WWE, and it was not that great. Very lackluster. WrestleMania 18, the first one on the GameCube, wasn't the worst game. I had fun playing it, but not really considered one of the best, to be honest, now looking back. And once you got the upgrades of WrestleMania 19, Day of Reckoning, they really were able to build and make it a good, complete game. Road to WrestleMania 18, I thought was good. It was just the continuation of Road to WrestleMania, which was also a good game. So really, the mobiles are coming in hot here. Whatever, the handhelds. Oh, I pulled the George. Sorry. This Tokan Retsuden Advance, also decent game. But then Legends of Wrestling 2 and Fire Pro Wrestling 2 for the Game Boy. Those might be the standouts here, other than Shut Your Mouth.
I'm trying to think. So we both played it forever for Road to WrestleMania. I want to see what we did for Fire Pro Wrestling Advance.
I feel like we liked it.
Fire Pro Wrestling 2, right?
Yes.
Double Play It Forever.
Yeah.
And was there one more advanced game? Oh, no, yeah. Tokan Retsuden. Which we also double played it forever.
Yeah,
so
I enjoy those games.
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. It's such a weird, like you said, it's such a weird time for WWE games, but it's really like you're running the whole spectrum of games here. You've got mobile, you've got handheld, you've got main console releases. Like, yeah, some of these games are laying the groundwork for bigger and better games to come. But at this time, like the next couple of years and the previous couple of years, WWE games are really like firing on all cylinders here. Like you're getting,
yeah, for sure,
a lot of releases that, like I said, are on the full spectrum of some of the best and some of the worst games that people have played. But this is the era of more is more. Now, and like you said earlier, like the beginning of the podcast, it's definitely not that anymore. But this is such a unique time in video games where it's just, hey, we're going to just throw as many things as we can. And, you know, some of these are going to stick and we're going to build new franchises off of them. And other than them, we're just going to say are experimental and they're one-offs. Like the Road to Advanced series is very short and they don't really continue that afterwards. But
well, there was Survivor Series.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like the length of that series of games, like they don't do anything like that now. You're not getting a side release to the main yearly.
No, but I would.
That's like a Road to. Oh yeah, could you imagine like a Road to 2K23 game? Like, you know, every year they release it. There's like a smaller version of the game that ties into the main thing.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Could be interesting.
But all right, let's talk about this roster here because we already said the base game was Kane and The Undertaker. Cage match. You're getting 4 superstars: Booker T, Brock Lesnar, Edge, and Kurt Angle. And the hardcore version, you're getting Test, Bubba Ray Dudley, Rob Van Dam, and Chris Jericho. And as I'm reading this, I'm noticing that the Cage game got the SmackDown superstars and the hardcore got the Raw superstars.
Oh yeah, you're right.
At the time. But let's take a quick break. Let's come back. Let's talk about the artwork here, what it looks like.
Oh, all right. All right. So let's talk about two things here first. Let's just address, it's not really cover art. These are mobile games. They're more title screens, splash screens, whatever you want to call them. But the logo remains the same across all three versions. You're getting the WWE logo, you're getting a Mobile Madness logo, and then it changes slightly depending on whether or not you have the Cage version or the hardcore version. The Cage version features Booker T, and the hardcore version features Bubba Ray Dudley with that traditional WWE hardcore font that they used. And then the Cage cover kind of uses the Rage in the Cage font, which I don't know if it was intentional, but kind of looks like that. Or Steel Cage Challenge, one of those.
Yeah. Hardcore. That looks like the little thing that used to flash on the screen when the hardcore title match would come on.
Yeah, it's their title stinger or graphic, whatever it is. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Where it just, because that's the one that it would just like fall, right? fall and like shake and rumble. Yeah.
And the little pieces would come off. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't hate any of these, actually. They're kind of cool, and they go with the time of WWE. They're very on brand.
Again, it's the tie-in with mobile. The E in mobile is a 3. The D in Madness.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so the E in mobile and in Madness are 3s, and then the D is an upside down. Either is a backwards 6 or an upside down 9. However you want to look at it.
Either way, but when you get into the game, it's interesting. You got a ring with red, yellow, and blue ropes with a big WWE logo in the middle. No front ropes, so you could actually see the wrestlers, I guess because of the small screen.
Yeah.
It's okay looking. The wrestlers themselves are okay looking. They kind of look like those Game Boy characters from the Road to WrestleMania series. Not very detailed.
But you know
again,
who's who.
Small screen. You know who's who.
Although I will say, RVD on certain angles kind of does look like Ken Shamrock.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with you.
I think it's the fact that he doesn't have the long hair. He doesn't have the ponytail.
Right. And I guess that's kind of hard to do there. But also, we have the most lackluster HUD there's ever been.
There's not a lot to it, and I don't think there needs to be. My only complaint is the color choices, because boy, does it look like a bag of M&Ms exploded on the screen.
See. It's very hard to see.
It's poor contrasting colors, and sometimes it's red text over the crowd. Sometimes it's white text over the crowd. Sometimes it's yellow text over the crowd. It just it leaves a lot to be desired. The HUD itself, design-wise, like John said, very simple, not a lot to it. Wrestler's name, health bar.
That's all you could really say about this. And then if you're playing the cage version, you get, guess what? A steel cage. Not the worst cage I've ever seen. It's just kind of a white wall with little chain links on it, but it's there. It's a cage. You can climb it. The hardcore version we mentioned earlier has steel chairs, and you can use the announce table. It's falls count anywhere. I think what bothers me the most in this entire game is the text on everything. It's all very generic.
Yeah.
It's all just plopped there in weird colors. Nothing's cohesive. Very unlike every other WWE game, because usually graphics and all that are like on point. This is like very sloppy.
Yeah, it's just what we talked about before with the design of the HUD. It's just, it extends beyond the HUD to all aspects of the game. The color choices, the text, overall. I mean, on the select your wrestler screen, Kurt Angle, you see like only the second half of his face, because the top half is covered by his name. And then why does every single wrestler's name need the TM? Just put that in small text somewhere, or don't include it at all, because
they gotta.
Ah, man, I know, but it sucks the
takes
life
the wind
right
out
out of the
of
game.
bit, huh?
Yeah, it's not. It's not the best. It's not the best. But I will say this. This has to be one of the most interesting looking crowds that we've ever seen in a game. You alluded to it in our gameplay that this is very reminiscent of a TMNT Shredder, yes, repeated over and over again.
First movie. Wait.
And I cannot unsee that.
I only have Super Shredder over here. Never mind.
I can't unsee that now. It is.
Yeah, it's interesting. The color choices is very interesting. I don't know if mobile's limited but no. I mean, you got full rendered people here.
Yeah, full colored on the wrestlers, and I think the middle rope is yellow because of the constant white backgrounds that are used. The cage,
like WWE.
Also could do
no?
that. Well, they're going for the retro red, white, and blue ropes, but
They didn't want to
this
be
is 2002,
SmackDown biased. But
okay, could be. Yeah.
let's sit back. Let's relax a little bit. Let's get some R&R going. Let's get some ratings and reviews.
There are ratings and reviews for this
PC
game?
Magazine UK gives us a 3 out of 5 stars and says, "Are you ready to rumble? If you have a Java-enabled Motorola mobile phone, you could bring the pain as WWE professional wrestlers Kane and The Undertaker battle it out. Play as either of those hulking superstars and use special attacks to take down your opponent and win the match. The action stays on your screen, but that doesn't mean it's confined to the ring. Use those handy folding chairs to do extra damage. Unfortunately, graphics are a bit underwhelming, and the nature of the game may have a limited appeal."
Yeah, well,
You don't say.
There's a correction that we probably could use to mention here. We probably mostly I said Nokia a lot, but that's mainly just because that was.
I think it could be on either, right?
Oh yeah, but I feel like I only mentioned Nokia, but I just want to let the record show that it wasn't limited to just Nokia phones. It's like the review said, any Java enabled mobile phone was able to play this game. But I don't know, I'm inclined to agree with this. 3 out of 5. We'll have to see what the user ratings are here. But now, wait, are there PC Magazine UK reviews for every version or just
That's the only one I found. But we have the game FAQ user rating. And listen, for the actual Mobile Madness, I'm not even going to read them because they were clearly ironic and they were just 5 stars for everything. And it was 1 rating, I think. So the hardcore version gives us a 4 out of 5 stars, and that's out of 8 reviews. So not bad. Difficulty is a 1. Length of hours played is a 1. The cage version is a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The difficulty is a 2. I guess the climbing cage aspect and all that. And the length of hours played is on not even the 1 notch. So that's where that is. So overall, a mediocre game at best.
All right. Well, what else can you say about a Java mobile game from 2002?
What else can we say, George?
I wasn't expecting this to win all kinds of awards, but there is one last review that needs to be done here, John, and that would be ours because it's time to rate the game.
The game!
Johnny Clash, I ask you, WWE Mobile Madness, will you play it forever? Or future endeavor?
If I was on an old Motorola phone, I would probably play this game. There's a chance that I did, and I just don't remember. But I'm going to go with future endeavor because I played 2 games of it for our playthrough, and that's about enough. I already played it throughout the day just to get a feel for it. There's not much to do. You could beat it in minutes. Yeah, it's a big old future endeavor. I'm glad we covered all 3 because there's no way each one would have been an individual episode, and
that's
that. But George, what about you? Play it forever or future endeavor?
I'm right there with you, man. This is for 2002. It's not bad, but like you said, there's just not a lot of meat on the bone here. There's not a lot of replay value. It's a good toilet break game. That's about it. That's
a good toilet break game.
I can't think of anything else to really equate that to. It may even be too short for that. It is just. There's just not a lot here. You have to be if you're going to play this one. But yeah, I'm right there with it. It's a big old future endeavor. But again, said earlier, this is a game that kind of lays the groundwork for some things to come, and there are definitely some similarities between this and what the future of handheld and mobile games look like for WWE. So this may be getting a future endeavor, but there is definitely some ones that we have played in that are preceded by this. I don't know what the right term is.
Dylan's rubbing off on you, huh?
I know, in the worst way possible.
Better than rubbing on you.
There are games that are succeeded
There you go.
by this that, just blow this game out of the water. So, yeah. But hey, if you have any experience playing this game, or if you knew about this game prior to today's episode, let us know on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. And if you did play it, is it a emulator situation, or do you actually remember playing this game in 2002? Let us know. But with that, John, are you ready to get into this week's soft?
Do it.
All right, the soft lock brought to you by our friends over at W. Use code GameMarksPod to save yourself 10% over at W.GG. Get yourself some jitterless energy today. Here we go. The soft lock is a segment where one of our mega marks from our Patreon gives us a question to answer, a topic to debate. It's a question of the week with a fancy name. John, who brings us this fabulous question?
None other than the speedrunner himself, the Elder Spork.
Ah, we love our best bitch from Best Batch Promotions. All right, so Spork's question is, you are starting a barcade, and we have to pick our first cabinet. We each get to pick a fighter, a shooter, a racing, a sport game, and a pinball machine. John, would you like to kick us off, or do we want to just go category by category? Your fighter, my fighter, back and
I'll
forth.
just kick us off here. We did this question not too long ago, a similar one, but it's always good to refresh our opinions and see where they equal our last ones. Because I believe the last time we answered this, I just came fresh from a Dave & Buster's. And now, I'm going to tell you, I went to Lake George a few weeks ago, and the arcade that I used to go to growing up that had all the old games, I went in there. I was so excited. I'm like, this is where I used to go. Show me what you got here. All brand new games. I was like, I don't want to play Deal or No Deal. I don't know. No, where's the old one?
You gotta keep with the times, man.
I know, but I didn't want to play any of that. It was so lame. Everything was like electronic with screens. I'm like, all the charm was gone. I
gotta get a nice mix of both.
I stayed in there,
find a sweet
for 5
spot.
minutes for the air conditioner, and I left. But my fighting game would be Marvel vs. Capcom. My shooter would be The Walking Dead. That is a fun one. You just shoot zombies.
Oh.
It's a big cabinet. I would pick the Fast and the Furious as the racing game. You know, you got the little keypad there. You can punch in your code. You can continue, get the cool cars. STK Wild about that. He used to work at an ice rink, and they had that there, so he would play every day at work. He had like this most souped up car. A pinball machine, WWF Royal Rumble pinball, because we have to stay on brand.
It's not bad. It's not a bad list. I got to be honest with you. There's some crossover here because there's a hard time making a final decision on these. So I gave two answers for some, and some there are like some weird like overlap. So for my fighter, I also have Marvel vs. Capcom, but honorable mention to Tekken Tag Tournament 2. That is, I think, not very surprising for people who've listened to the podcast. I am a huge fan of Tekken. So yeah, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 is the superior in my opinion. For the shooter, I said either Time Crisis or, not sure if everyone would remember this one. Do you remember Area 51?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's a classic. They had it in my local arcade growing up, so I definitely have fond memories of playing that. For a racer, I said either Cruisin' World or Cruisin' USA.
Good ones. And 64 classics.
Oh yeah, that translate or vice versa. Translated from arcade to the console very, very well. But the consoles, the arcade cabinets are so good. And I honorable mention, man, I'm 100% right there with you. There it is, Cruisin' USA. The Fast and the Furious racing game arcade cabinet was definitely something. Big fan of that one as well. Sports game, NFL Blitz.
Good one.
Love Blitz Arcade. I love it so much. And then pinball machine. I have Royal Rumble pinball and then the Empire Strikes Back pinball machine, because if you haven't seen that, Google it. It's the coolest looking arcade machine
Wait,
ever.
I skipped my sports ones.
Oh, what was your
Either
sports
football toss or Golden Tee golf.
What's football
Those are
toss?
fucking rings that you throw the football in.
Okay.
Like a legit
I was just like,
football
is that
toss.
like legit throwing it through the
Legit.
rings? Oh man, I have a friend who the only game that he will play at an arcade is the basketball, like
not
where the
fun
hoop
after
goes
5
in and
minutes.
out. It's the only thing that he plays. But he's also massive basketball fan. Like played it like in high school and college. Like he loves it. It's his number one thing. So he plays all that. But hey, not a bad list, man.
List at
I
all.
think if we were to open up a barcade, we're gonna have a lot of happy customers because we got a nice blend of
I
everything.
think I asked you this last time. When's the last time you played Time Crisis?
So it came up on the podcast not too long ago, and then in between then and now, I think that I went to an arcade for a friend's birthday party, and they had the 4 or whatever the most recent one is. It's not bad. I'd like the original, like the first 2, better than the newer ones. They added too much to it. Like is it the Walking Dead one? Is the Walking Dead one the one that's like on a projector screen?
Hang on, let's look it up.
There's one. It may be like Tomb Raider or something. There's one that is like on a projection screen. It's like 4 person.
The
wide.
Walking Dead one's enclosed, kind of like the Star Wars game, and you have the gun there, but it's like a box you sit in.
Have you seen the ones that are like projection screens? Yeah, those are too much. And I feel like that's what the newer shooter style arcade machines are going towards, and I just think it's too much. It's way too much. I need like a CRT television with like a flash gun that doesn't work. Like you have the one friend that's like shooting off screen because it means that you always hit something. It's just I need simple. Less is more. Original Time Crisis is where it's at for me.
Okay.
But hey, if you were going to build your own barcade, let us know. A fighter, a shooter, a racing game, a sports game, and a pinball machine that you would put in your arcade. You could do that on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Well, John, let the people at home know what we are doing next week on the podcast.
I have something planned next week with someone I work with very closely, friend of the show.
Am I on the podcast next week?
But friend of the show might be joining us, but I don't want to reveal it just in case schedules misalign. So we're going to say stay tuned.
It's happened before.
And you'll see if it comes not. If not, we're going to have a game ready for you. So
if we're playing a game, then the guest
will be back another time. That's pretty much.
All right. Guys, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast for our weekly playthrough videos, GMP24, and a whole lot more. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for our shirts. PodExchange.shop for all merchandise for every show on the Pod Exchange Network. That is merchandise for this podcast, Going Postal, and State of Affairs. Patreon.com/PodExchange. It's PodXchange for the show early and ad-free access to show notes and exclusive content from every show on the Pod Exchange Network at Game Marks Pod on all forms of social media. And please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you could be entered to win yourself a Dirty Dominic Mysterio and a Rhea Ripley figure, courtesy of our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop. And if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, you can reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. Johnny Clash, we did the thing. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Marks.
Game Marks podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future Endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks podcast every single Monday.